time to spill the secrets.
This is Universal Secrets with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale.
It is a Tuesday night. You know what that means.
It's Universal Secrets with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale. Can
October-
I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Okay, hell yeah.
October 29th, 2024. Tiffany, you familiar with the movie Eyes Wide Shut?
I am. Yes. Is that what?
Like the whole movie or just certain parts? No.
No. I watched the whole thing confused.
Really?
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
did.
So I that's what I did. I kind of went to Amazon, Eyes Wide Shut. I didn't want to cover the whole face. Found this.
Yes.
So here I am. Here we are. Happy
I like
Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you.
None of your kids will be going trick or treating, will they? Or are they?
Actually, I think all three will be.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. Is there a cutoff date? Like, can you not do it when you're 16, or is there?
I don't know. Who does
Are there restrictions? You check IDs when you open the door and ask for some candy.
Is Brent going to be giving out candy?
Where? Where
Oh,
do you think we're going to give out candy? We're in the middle of the country.
well, someone.
Nobody will come down our driveway due to the signage.
Oh, well, yeah. There you go. Here we are on this Tuesday night, Universal Secrets. We're streaming live on our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Tiffany, it's the holiday season. You're into the Halloween thing.
I am. I really enjoy it. And just this past weekend, we typically try to bunch up my stepdaughter's birthday along with Halloween because it's so close together. So this is the 6th year that we've had this sort of Halloween spooky forest bash, and for the first time, you were able to show up, and I was very happy that you came, and you not only came by yourself, well, with guests, and your little granddaughter Mila is an absolute joy and pleasure, and she was so cute as the witch, and she did a great job. So yeah.
What was it? They were Claire, and they were running late because Mila couldn't find her broom. And you're like, I've got a whole bunch.
I was like, Mila, I have like 6 brooms inside.
Well, the fam appreciated your hospitality and everything.
Yes.
Did Brent get the spilled wine out of the?
I had to scrub it. Yes.
I would have come over and done that.
I do the dirty work. Yeah. But it was a beautiful night. We got to run around in the woods with little lanterns and see all of the spooky stuff that we placed in the woods. And of course it ended with our, 12-foot tall animatronic werewolf at the very end. So he was cool.
How fucking beautiful were the stars that night, man?
They were super bright. They looked just like our background today.
And they were moving just like that too, right?
Well, yeah, I saw quite a few meteors, which was super cool. I paid extra for those, Kevin, for you. So
I appreciate you always. Yeah. All right, what we got lined up tonight, T-Mac?
So tonight we have a incredible we'll call him a co-host this time. You want to call him a co-host?
He's one of us.
Nathaniel Gillis. Yeah, he's one of our buddies, and he is a demonologist and just full of information on the darker side of the topics that we typically go to. And so he's going to be sharing one of his buddies with us, Priscilla Stone. And she is a real life vampire. So we're going to hear a lot of stories and a lot of fun, spooky stuff for our Halloween edition of Universal Secrets.
Halloween edition. You ready to get it going?
Let's get it going.
Look, what we got?
So, Miss Priscilla, if you want to unmute,
There you
there you go.
I'm just doing it because people are outside. So
Yeah. So we are very excited that both of you get to come on tonight, and you're going to be sharing a little bit darker stories of the paranormal, and maybe even share why it's so popular now, and how we've had stories like Vlad the Impaler that has really taunted us for centuries. So let's
He's still alive
dig into
somewhere,
it.
right?
Oh, I'm sure.
oh yeah, he actually is actually my
Counting
dad.
on it.
He's my dad.
He's your dad. He's your creator.
Yeah.
So, Priscilla, you want to tell us a little bit about your background and your passion for all things vampiric?
Okay, well, so I grew up in a paranormally open household. My grandmother was a medium, and I always had dream visitations and apparitions, and like saw things in the sky, but also in my room. So I just kind of grew up like my grandma would like yell. She thought it was a demon. She'd just like yell at the demon. She'd be like, "You're not welcome here." So always have had like the fascination with like the darker side of things because that's kind of what tended to visit me more. But I kind of really try to fight against that and go with like, the whole love and light thing to try and get them away from me. And long story short, you're welcome to ask for details, but I started looking into last year when I got back from Colombia. I started looking into dream visitations. And that was kind of like the focus of my research. I started with a podcast, kind of like interviewing UAP experiencers and people that wrote books about UAP. And that's kind of how I ran into Nathaniel because he was like the demonologist, right? And I'm like, ooh, let's get him on. Shiny. So he went on my
That's exactly what I said. Ooh, Tiffany, let's get him
So
on.
I harassed him. He came on over and over because I kept asking him. And then just taking what he had to say kind of shifted my viewpoint from these are angels, these are aliens, these are demons, these are this and that. I'm like, these are maybe not any of that. So I started researching for a book I wanted to write about dream visitations because I felt like they weren't taken seriously. And people are waking up with like physical things happening to them after dreams. And I was one of them. And I know you guys have met lots of people that have been through that. So I just started researching. Well, that led me down a dark rabbit hole of Sumeria and demons. And that led to like energy, some sort of energy demons. And then I started looking into vampirism. It just kind of opened up this whole Pandora's box or vampire box, whatever, where traditionally like the vampires of the world were not like, what is blood essentially, right? What is it? It's energy, and they were after this life force, and it's just one of the energies that we have. So we know about these famous like Elizabeth Bathory, Vlad the Impaler, and all those people that did, do some wild stuff. But
Wild Elizabeth Bathory, didn't she like kill like 800 young virgins and bathe in their blood?
Yep,
That's a little dark.
it's very dark. It's very dark, but in the end, what was after, a lot of those people obviously were what people would say are evil. But modern vampires are not into actual blood. So people are after the energetics, and it's just like a Reiki person would remove energy. There's a lot of energy vampires that keep energy and kind of like transmute it and use it. So that's like everything in a nutshell. I've had all sorts of crazy experiences. So that's just like the amalgamation of it, I suppose.
We'll get to them. Nathaniel.
So, yeah, Nathaniel, can you give us a little background on your passion and why you're here and sharing this conversation with us?
Yeah, so I grew up in a haunted house. My very first encounter with the phenomenon occurred when I was 8. There's a lot of manifestation. There were full-bodied apparitions, what's called direct voice phenomenon, where the entities would actually try to communicate with you outside of any form of technology. So I was going to a church school in a local church body. Went to my pastor as my youth pastor, trying to figure out what it was. Basically was shunned, shut down, and gaslit. So if anything, it pushed me further away from orthodoxy. and into the hands of the data, not the dogma, which kind of inspired me to create what I call necronetics, which is the re-embodiment of the dead into the bodies of the seemingly living. So at this point right now, my research encompasses not just demonology, but apparitional theory, a little bit of what's called UFO abduction phenomenon. My theory essentially is that what we're dealing with is an intelligence that incarnates as archetypes and has diversified its identity in our eyes, can literally create physiological constructs. You can reach out and touch it, but in and of itself is not real. So other than that, that's why I'm here. You guys are my favorite people. I'm in the field. So, hey, let's do this.
Oh, Tiffany, we got a lot of directions we can go. We're right at the intersection where there's about 10 different ways to go. So you take it. Where would you like to go?
Well, she just ran
Put you on
away.
the spot.
Where'd she go?
No, okay. Yeah, where did you go? What the heck? Okay, so Nathaniel, you say the reanimation. What in the world are you talking about? Are you talking about taking somebody else's life force and actually putting it into another being?
Yes. So the earliest
Or
concept of a
okay.
demon before we got the legend of Pan, the god Pan, which is the
Mm-hmm.
horns and the hooves.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, possession was a form of pregnancy to this intelligence, and the way it was replicating its own species was by impregnation of women and the implantation of consciousness in the fetus.
Okay,
That
which
was
is sort of the basis for the succubus and the incubus
all of it.
and taking all of that energy that we have
Mm.
and transmuting it.
Yes, yes. So my latest research is it's giving me a conclusion that the succubus and the incubus were the same in the sense that it was almost a genderless entity in the sense that the same entity would take seed from a man, would also inseminate it, right, into a
Mm-hmm.
woman. And so it would manifest as a female to the man and then as a man to the woman. But the concept here, it's fascinating to me, is that the incubus, linguistically, it carries a rather female nuance. And that's why one of the earliest traditions of the incubus is that after it seeded the woman, it would sit on top of her belly and incubate the very image it was going to inhabit one day. And
Ooh.
so in antiquity, at least Mesopotamia, there were specific experiencers who were called the bearers of the images of the dead. And they're called the Mahabolat. And the term basically was given to the very first mediums because that was the phenomenon incarnating, trying to garner some kind of consent. And it's a long story short, but yeah, so that's where my research is, and it's kind of redefining the hybridization program. I think that if anything, the phenomenon is trying to use revisionist history against us. And
Hybridization.
you know,
Are we talking alien hybridization or just demons?
here's the problem. I mean, even if we go back to Luis Elizondo's book, their conclusion essentially was that even though we may have alien bodies, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have alien consciousness. That there was something else piloting the avatar that was piloting the craft.
Gotcha.
So
Oh.
that's pretty much where I'm at.
Oh gosh. See, okay, now my brain just switched to, do you remember the movie Splice? Did you ever see the movie Splice? It's where these
Let me look
two
it up.
geneticists are trying to create a being from different types of animals and create it into something that can have a consciousness and interact. And what they end up doing is the woman who's the partner, they're both doctors, but husband and wife, and the woman uses her own DNA to create this being, and the being actually seems very feminine at the beginning, and then actually changes into a masculine being afterwards, after she got the DNA that she needed and made this big transition into, you know, the opposite sex. It's a very strange concept, but it's something that's probably been in our consciousness for a very long time, because it felt very unsettling that you could have one being and it can change into whether, you know, the necessity of female or male, depending on what it needed, right? So I've always wondered about demons being one or the other. Maybe there is a total dichotomy amongst all living beings. You know, we have feminine characteristics and masculine characteristics in the same human a lot of times, right?
Mhm.
So how does that how does it relate to the alien ideas and concepts? Are we saying that we are the aliens?
Where did we first encounter the alleged extraterrestrials? Did we encounter them in MUFON, or did we encounter them in seances?
Oh God.
Mm,
Oh
that's
And
shit.
I mean, let's take that and kind of wad it up in a ball and see if it sticks. Why is it that the leading researchers are performing, again, ritual magic? They're building altars. And here's the
Yes.
problem I'm having with the field. They want all of the religious trappings. They
Yes.
just don't want to call it religious.
And they
They'll
want
have
the
some.
rituals, and they want the
There we go.
yes.
This is why I
So
almost quit, because and Priscilla knows, right? We've talked. It's like, okay, once you see the writing on the wall, we start to realize that, yeah, the same entities that are now telling us they're extraterrestrial told us
yes.
they're guides, angels, demons.
Yep.
And the problem is,
And the
okay,
history, because it's terminology. We didn't have the
Right.
same terminology then, and in the beginning, we called them demons or angels, depending on whether they were identified as good or evil, right?
oh,
People
most
still do, right?
exclusively. Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, jump in, Priscilla. You
Yeah.
absolutely.
Some people still call them that because as a little girl, you see this glowing thing raised Catholic. If it's
It's an
nice,
angel,
an
right?
angel, I mean, it's a demon.
Right.
Yeah. All you gotta do is say this little prayer and they're gonna go away. What happens when they don't? And that's when Nathaniel's research really kind of like hooked me, because he said they don't play by our rules. And I say it all the time, and I think of you because people are like, I'm doing this, this, and this, and this. And I've studied a lot of different types of magic systems. Since I could read, I've been researching different types of religions. I'd be there with the encyclopedia taking notes. I'm such a nerd. But this is why we have to kind of like the modalities that we're taught within our institutions don't work for some of these things. And some of these visitations are not as clean cut as an angel or a demon. Maybe there's those too. But there's definitely some in-between creatures and entities that we're really not acknowledging. So people are saying, oh, they're just aliens, or they're from Sirius, or they're all these different types of aliens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That are
It doesn't
responding
always.
to incantations. Isn't that
Yeah.
weird?
Okay. This is a little different than I thought the way that this conversation was going to go. But
we
I
just
like it.
started. We got some time.
Warming up.
Yeah, warming up. There you go. Here's that was your appetizer. Or this is the appetizer too. You know, we're going to share that over the weekend. Did I tell you about the sleep paralysis experience I had? Do you remember?
I don't think you told me, but I don't think you said it on the show last time, which
Okay.
we had
Well,
tried,
we can talk about that in a little bit.
because I do think that plays into this conversation as well.
Agreed. I got now going back to you, Priscilla. I guess let's stay with the whole demon alien thing. You've had experience. Can you share what you've had?
So I'll start with the always having some sort of sleep paralysis as far as I can remember. That intensified after I saw 3 golden orb UAP in Phoenix, Arizona. Like, I'm 40 right now, so we're talking, I was in kindergarten. So the skies were a lot darker. It was probably, it was a cooler outside. And as a little girl, I used to go and stargaze because my grandpa was showing me Big Dipper, Orion's Belt. And I remember kind of like being a nerd and like knowing that there's other things out there and just kind of feeling like there was going to be something one day. Went out there one night and these 3 orbs just turn on. Self-contained, they don't have a glare, and they are a triangle at first, and then they kind of like split into like a line and then just zoom off. And I was very happy. I was not afraid. I felt welcomed, loved. Like I was kind of like waiting for it to happen. And then after that, the experiences, more sleep paralysis, more different types of visitations, which I thought were angels and demons, until I was visited by something that did not look like an angel or a demon. It was like what I now people describe as like a mantis. So,
Do you see that, Priscilla? Do you see the comments? I'm sure.
We're in Arizona. What
Yeah.
part of Arizona?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of got more invasive with the sleep paralysis. And I don't know if that experience kind of like I was already open to things, but I don't know if it definitely amplified it, because they became more frequent to the point where as a little girl, I was afraid to go to sleep. I had like a ringing in my ear, and I remember being so young and thinking like, this is going to drive me crazy. Like, who thinks that when they're young? But it was this constant ring. It was very frequent. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's these, like, I've studied the stages of sleep, right? So like, because I want to know what's happening to people, but these things just kept getting more and more, I feel like, invasive. And I definitely think that sighting, either like, like you mark something, like as a marksman when you're shooting, like, like it felt like I don't know, like it marked.
You're a target at that point.
Yeah.
Marking their territory.
Yeah, because then after that, it was just over and over. And then as I got older, I mean, I've woken up outside 2 times, not knowing how, once as a child, once as a teenager, and once as like an adult in my 30s, which is like, I was not drinking, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not a sleepwalker. So how did I get out there, and how's the door locked, and how's everybody asleep? You know what I mean? And nobody will wake up and let me in. It's a lot. And then you add in like the paranormal side of it, like these demons, right? And then there'd be like the light beings or the angels, almost like damage control or something. It'd be like a scary experience, and then these light beings would show up and be like, oh, it's okay, we're gonna love you now. After we just scare the crap out of you. And I had to wonder, is it the same thing shape-shifting, or is there really like those on our side? If they're on our side, why aren't they stopping these children that are going through this? You know what I mean? Or people screaming, like I would wake up screaming the Our Father. I'd wake up like, or it would take my voice and I couldn't say it. So what do we do? Extraterrestrials, demons don't want you to pray. What is it?
And while you're having these
Nathaniel?
experiences as a kid, well, real quick, as a kid, how was your family? How was the rest of your family? Were they experiencing anything similar, or it was just you?
No, so my grandma was doing like mediumship, and kind of like she would do tarot cards, but with decks of playing cards. And I was one of the few people that knew it, because she was like kind of like, do it at nighttime. Being Catholic,
It was
you're not-
sort of the original way, right? With
Yeah.
the playing cards. It's more of a Romani way of doing it.
Yeah. And she would do like Santeria stuff. She's very in touch with everything. So her experiences were more like, she knew it was demons, and she knew that she was going to yell at them and they were going to go away. But then the rest of the family like didn't have like a lot of experiences, and they just kind of like treated me like, oh, you just have like chronic nightmares or something. So again, the gaslighting, right? Like it's all in your head. So
Is it in her head, Nathaniel?
No, unfortunately not. This is a common thematic element phenomenon. Matter of fact, the research I've been doing lately in necronetics points me towards the direction of some of these being sorcerers, or at least performing ritual magic on experiencers. That's why we're getting sigils. I thought they were symbols. They're not. They're literal sigils that are tied to another entity. Some of them have been underneath eyelids, in armpits, in private areas of the experiencer. We've not only seen it in demonology, we've seen it in ufology, we've seen it in hauntology. Now, whatever they are, we don't have the vocabulary for. Here's why, at least in my perception, is because all we know them to be are archetypes. And the data set suggests that even the archetypes themselves are designed to basically elude our senses and our defenses, to the point that by the time we start to ask the right questions, by the time our eyes adjust to the darkness, it's too late. It's already done what it wanted to do. I mean, I had a case where, again, somebody said I say the same stories on every show. Probably. These are my personal case studies. Yeah, where the experiencer was being accosted by an entity that appeared to be her husband. It had full control over her, put her to sleep. And then by the time everything was said and done, it shapeshifted back to what it appeared to be, went into a smoky apparition. Then she realized it had been suppressing her memory. Her husband had been laying next to her the entire time.
Mm.
So there are these common thematic elements that are interreligious, cross-cultural, and they're almost eternal, almost primeval in a way. And that is that there is the inducing of the dreamlike state into the victim. And then there is this hovering method that the phenomenon does, where it makes eye contact with the experiencer. I had a gentleman that wanted me to do an investigation in his house because his wife was experiencing that very nuance to the point that she wasn't even asleep. She would be physically paralyzed, awake, and the only thing she could get out of her body was listen, it's hovering right over top of me as I'm talking to you. So this is a common thematic element that Epstein also performed.
Please explain that.
Juliet Bryant, yeah, well, I was on Iconic not too long ago, and we talked about this, where Juliet Bryant was a victim of Epstein's, and there was a direct correlation between my research and what he was doing to people, which also led at least the deepest, darkest researchers to believe that he was self-replicating, and that it wasn't just cloning, and it wasn't just victimization. It was exactly what we're talking about now, which would kind of get back into the temple he had in the ritual baths that he had created. Crazy stuff. But whatever we're dealing with, at least from my perception, again, it appears that they're nothing like we think they are. I mean, even some of the rules that Priscilla mentioned earlier, right? They play by different rules because they're playing a different game. Why did we think they played by those rules? Because they told us they did. And so along with the archetypes come these characteristics that they seem to, at any time of their choosing, absolutely and utterly transcend. We've seen this with holy water. We've seen it with ritual magic. We've seen it even with the protocols of belief the phenomenon places us into. It's not enough for me to manifest as your husband. You have to believe I am your husband. And somewhere within the space in between, there is a form of consent being given. And then that's where I'm kind of at. Like, what's the whole point of this? If you had the absolute power, you wouldn't need me to believe in the image you're presenting. So this gets back to another case study, right? An experiencer, the phenomenon was taking her appearing as her favorite cartoon character. It was measuring her belief with its eyes. Do you believe I am who I appear to be? And so if you kind of go through history, look at the Rolodex of archetypes it's manifested as, it's quite probable it's none of them. It's literally an intelligence that is working us and manipulating our species, hoping that with each and every archetype, we place false rules, fake boundaries on it. And then by the time what I call the proto-intelligence incarnates, all bets are off. We've seen that in seances, we've seen UFO abduction, we've seen it in hauntings. It's everywhere. And so this is what led me to, this is my research, to realize, listen, these aren't demons. I mean, even if you look at some Ed and Lorraine Warren's research, they're okay, we saw demons. No, you saw Pan.
Are you saying the actual, like the Baphomet character? Is that what we're talking? The horn?
Yes. It's what the phenomenon is doing is it's leaning into trends and archetypes. Stuff that isn't even linguistically or historically accurate. Like someone could just create a cartoon of a demon. That's what it manifests as. And so that's when I started to follow the lineage. And I'm thinking, okay, there's something wrong with this picture. It's not holding to even the historical record. And that's the same thing with the guides.
So this is the image that we're talking about. Right there. Okay. So now that symbol has been very prevalent in our society, in our music industry, and our pop culture industry right now. Why do you think that they have become so enthralled with this Baphomet and this darker side of supernatural beings?
One, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Besides it looks cool because I mean they're obviously trying to get a response from people. But why do you think they've used this, and why is it so in your face right now?
You asking me, Priscilla?
Both. But
Oh,
Priscilla's,
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead,
hold on.
Priscilla. Oh,
Yeah, I'm just muting if it gets noisy here.
You're fine.
So a lot of people so people have this whole concept of like light and dark, right? Depending on your personality type, you're going to be drawn to the more rebellious side of thing, which is darker. It's more fun. If people want to be sexy. They want to do all these wild things. They want to be living in what people say sin, you know? So I think that because the world is moving away and not trusting the belief systems that are available to us, they're turning to almost this idolatry of these archetypes, as he calls them, you know, and these pop stars and these movie stars are really pushing that. I mean, I just got told by somebody that my books are working for the enemy because I'm writing about dark things. So people tend to gravitate towards darkness because the darkness is very vocal. It's very loud, it's very in your face, and it's very seductive. So I think that's what people want right now. They don't have this core thing to keep them attached to these more light concepts. So we're turning to what are all these people doing? And they're getting everything. They are giving into the darker side of things. And people want that. They want to be famous, they want to be pretty, they want to be rich, they want to be comfortable, but that's what they're pushing out there, you know? And it's selling because we all know what sells, and it's not a habit and a gown down to your ankles. So I think that's why people don't have anything to believe in anymore. And these voices are so loud and appealing that they're just giving into those images.
Tiffany, why can't the paranormal be sexy? Why can't the darkness be sexy?
Well, I think that it
interpretation. I mean, what's dark to some people?
can.
You know,
Right.
my feelings are different than your feelings or whatever. You know,
You mean your desires are different than ours, Kevin? You dirty dog.
no, I think there we'll probably cross streams with some of us, but no, I guess my point is that really to each their own. I when it comes to the whole paranormal thing, I do have a skepticism with a lot of it, but at the same time too, I think the darkness, that unknown, is so intriguing. It's sexy to me. It's even the night I had that visitation, it was.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because we might as well just bring in our experiences to share and let them give their opinions on it. So tell us what happened.
Professional help from these two. So I've had.
Well, we got them on here. We've already paid for their time.
Yeah, and their hourly rates are killing us. But I've had. I just had my second sleep paralysis experience. My first one was in the 90s. I was married, saw my wife at the time laying next to me wide awake, and there was a female entity, and it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't, I wasn't scared, but there was something on me, straddling me. I'm awake. I see her next to me. I see everything in the room. I accepted that was a sleep paralysis or visitation, whatever. So a few weeks ago, after one of our shows, Tiffany, I've had, I don't know what to call it, but there's something that visits me periodically and it's always on my bed while I'm in bed sleeping, trying to sleep, where it feels like either a small child or an animal just kind of walking on my bed. So the other night, I sleep on my side. I'm laying on my right side. I feel that little thing bump into my leg enough for me to turn my head and look, because I'm coming out of sleep, so I don't know what it is. So as I do that, all of a sudden I felt this like surge go through from my feet up to about my waist. Something is pinning me down. I cannot move. I'm awake because I can see from, this is my bed. So I'm looking on my side. I see my laptop. It says 3:22 on my laptop. So 3:22 a.m. I'm struggling because at this point, I don't know what it is because I'm still kind of out of it. And I somehow release myself from it. And when I did, the energy, I mean, I'm literally popped up from releasing myself. And I look at my laptop and it says 3:24. So we're roughly about 2 minutes I'm experiencing this. And needless to say, I really didn't sleep the rest of the night. Not that I was scared, but it was just, WTF. What was it? What is it? Why?
What's the purpose?
What is the purpose? I don't know.
Was it, do they just feed off that fear, that little bit of fear that they get from you during that 2-minute time period, and it's like a energy drink for them, and that's all they needed, and then they go about their business until they need it again from another energy source?
Well, with me, I don't think I've ever conveyed myself to, the darkness or whatever is fear. I'm intrigued. I don't know why I was visited. And again, this is just number 2. But the little thing that does visit me every now and then, that was there. And so I don't know if that little thing, was it?
Maybe it's a protector.
Was it a protector? Was it something that was trying to give me a heads up? Or could it have been that and just transformed into some kind of energy or something? I don't know. But that's why I have Dr. Gillis and Dr. Stone here to help me through this. What say you, Nathaniel? It wasn't a nightmare. I've told people this story. It was not I was awake. I could clearly see things. So
I'm going to throw this out there for everybody to ponder. There is evidence to suggest the phenomenon will simulate manifestation to test human responses. Feels like it, smells like it, looks like it. It's not it. I had a case years ago, as an incubus case, and it was literally contouring the consciousness of the experiencer. And every night when she would get alone, it would do the same thing. It would step on the bed, she would feel it move. It wouldn't touch her. So it would leave, and it would come back in October. It's actually November, I'm sorry. And then it would leave. Next November, it'd come back. Almost down to the same day. And so at one point, it was almost like simulating its presence. What would you do if I did this? How would you respond if I did that? And so it was almost like you weren't really dealing with the entity in its fullest incarnation until you do. And now it knows. Now, this particular case is the case I often talk about, where the husband challenged it and said, I can't fight it if I can't see it. And when I was in there with my, at least a researcher partner of mine, an old one, we had set up our gear, our technology and everything. And we could hear footsteps upstairs, boots hitting the wooden floors. And we heard a door shut. And so that's when it was crazy. But the wife, she has her hands, they're white knuckles. She's grabbed onto the kitchen table and all the dishes and silverware clinging together. And she said, do you feel it? And I could feel this presence coming to my right side. And so it was a crazy investigation. But the last time I was there, the husband had encountered it. He challenged it. And this time it wasn't just semi-incarnated. It wasn't simulating its presence. Matter of fact, when they were in bed together, they watched as this thing began to crawl onto the bed, displacing its weight. And so the husband and then they went to bed, and she's asleep. And he said, next thing I know, I see something stroking her hair, just like a person would do. And he said, next thing I know, something's rubbing up next to my foot, my leg. And he said, Mr. Gillis, what do you think is happening? I said, I think it's laying in between you and your wife. It's literally in between you two.
Like sucking their energy off of their physical form, or just trying to test to see the reaction that it could get?
Well, here's the problem, especially within the field. When we think of incubus, we're always, okay, yeah, it's the victim is the female, right? At this point in time, it wasn't. The pathology mutated, and it turned its attention to the husband, which again makes me question everything. Because he challenged it. He watched one of the ghost hunter shows on television and heard of the rite of provocation. Of course, right? That's the best, always is. And so he goes out there challenging an entity that he had no control over. And so
which would be extremely sort of dense thing to do if you have no idea what the next step was, like,
But that's where we're at. He had no other instruction. And,
yeah.
and this was during COVID, so I couldn't go to do an investigation at the house at that point in time either. But then when we did come back, part of his face was paralyzed.
Oh,
The entity literally turns its attention from the wife to the husband. And so he had to go to the ER when they did an investigation. They did some MRIs and stuff. And they said, it seems like you've been in like a fist fight or you've had a profound amount of head trauma. What happened to you? He didn't know what to tell him. And his explanation to me was he had challenged it, went to sleep. And he said it just felt like somebody balled up a fist and began to beat him in his face. So, but the idea of them simulating incarnation to contour our consciousness, what would you do in the event I was fully manifest? This is not, again, it's religious cross cultural. So what does it suggest? It suggests that there is an intelligence that is diversifying itself. I said that before, but let me go a step deeper. When we have guides that will forgive the trauma the aliens are causing, I question the guides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, because what we're looking at now is, okay, yeah, they're doing evil things to us, or what we would call evil. And then people are going to the guides, and the guides are like, hey, listen, that didn't happen to you. It's your perception. It's your viewpoint.
Total gaslighting.
Or soul contract. It was part of your soul contract.
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
I hear
that's
that a
so
lot.
nice.
So what you don't believe in that? You don't believe in that? Priscilla?
I used to believe in that. I used to be the witchiest witch, and I was I would like tap into the energy lines and try and like help heal the earth. I try to help people. I'd move energy. I'd go into people's homes when they had like these demons or spirits, and I'd help them. I'd give them crystals. I'd give them herbs. I'd do all these things. And it didn't always work. What doesn't mesh well, and that's fine. Maybe I was a serial murderer or whatever, in my past life, and now it's all coming back, right? Or maybe I was I assaulted people, so it's coming back. Fine. But what I don't understand is why does this soul contract always have to be thrown in a victim's face? I don't, and I believed it. I used to teach Akashic Records classes. I used to teach crystal classes, how to heal your chakras, like all this stuff. But it's almost like a Band-Aid. Like you have to realize that if that is real, the other side of the coin is real too. You can't live. You can choose to not see it, but some of us were meant to see it. So to me, the whole soul contract thing was kind of part of that thing that I loved. Like I loved it. Like I loved thinking like I'm working on things throughout my lifetimes. And but then I would see people go through these horrible things. Crappy things happen to me, but somebody always has it worse. And to sit there and tell somebody, well, this is part of your soul contract.
It's just a cop-out.
It is.
You chose this. You chose this. Now here's your arm. Stop hitting yourself, would you? Stop hitting yourself.
And what happens when you've tried all the rituals and rites and different things and these things still come back? It happens all the time. It happened to me. Nothing I did worked. You know what worked for me? Coexisting. Just accepting you're here, I'm here, whatever, come get it. And then they stop bothering me.
That's what I did with the little thing that's walking. And here's the thing is this thing showed up 2000. I know it's 2007 because it was after my divorce. And from my divorce from my house, I went the apartment route. No main, that kind of thing. So in my it has followed me everywhere I've went. And there was, and Nathaniel virtually smacked me if I did this wrong. But there was one night where I just fucking was trying to go to sleep and I stood up. I'm like, I don't care if you're here. I don't care what you do. Let me sleep. Just let me sleep.
No, you're fine. Sometimes
but I've never felt threatened. Again, I've always felt it was either a small animal or a child. And if it's here, then I'm thinking it's got to be here for a reason. And I've never felt threatened. So is it just wanting either attention or company or compassion?
It could be a harmless spirit. It could be an attachment. People have this whole concept of, oh, something's attached to me. It's evil. It's bad. maybe it's not. Again, what dimension is it from? Is it, you know, we have this whole like ultra terrestrial idea, right, where things are from different places.
Right.
It's not hurting you, and some people will be like, well, it's not hurting you because you have you've joined the forces with it, which is people are telling you this. You used to be so love and light. Remember, you did. Now look at you. Look at you. You've joined the dark side.
Maybe it's one of my little disciples. You know,
Yeah, maybe some of us are supposed to live there and figure it out. Like Nathaniel is, you know, he is a very strong person in your faith, right? But like, that doesn't always mean you have to be like kumbaya, like here's the lights, here's all this nice stuff. Some of us were meant to do these dark things, and so we can help people through it. Is
Exactly. Yes.
You know?
Yeah, it's like a translator for the dark side. You got to figure out how to use that information and help the people who are brushing up against this darkness.
Yeah, translating the silence of the paranormal is vastly important. And I think that understanding that would help further the field. And even this love and light narrative, I believe, does have a role to play, but it's just so untrustworthy. I mean, my God, you know, it's your fault I'm doing this to you. That's Jeffrey Dahmer. That's Hannibal Lecter. But we're afraid to have we're afraid to have those conversations because, again, there is such a narrative that pushes that for our faces, right? There are guides, there are ancestors. And what I fear is that, again, that it knows what we want it to be. And we've seen that even in Skinwalker Ranch, right? Okay, if you're a demonologist, it's going to be demonic. And so what I started realizing was, okay, if we see beyond the mask, what are they? What is it? What does it want? Regardless of the archetypes, regardless of what anybody and everybody wants it to be, what is it responding to? Because at that moment, I think that would reveal its truest pathology, one that we cannot ignore, and one that is not even willing to hide. And so there is a symbiotic relationship, this is fascinating to me, between the mask it incarnates as and our willingness to believe in it. It's just like the horns and hooves narrative. Okay, are you a demon? Sure, I'm a demon. And what I've noticed is that believing in that archetype as it manifests empowers the intelligence behind it. It's like gaining strength. Okay, I'll be that more so. And we noticed that in Skinwalker Ranch. And even to the point where a lot of the archetypes that we thought were real, right? Cryptozoology. We thought for sure that the Wolfman was real, only to find out that at least some of them have been weaponized by the phenomenon to keep researchers at bay. So if you take that concept and extrapolate that into other fields of research, is it possible it's doing the same thing with aliens, ghosts, demons, right? I'm manifesting just enough to push you away. But at the end of the day, you'll know probably less than you thought you did about what I am and my origin. And I don't want to ramble. I tend to ramble, but that's where I'm at. But again, believing in the mask itself empowers the intelligence behind it. And that's where I'm at with it. Enough with the aliases. What is it?
But why is it that people all over the world from all different cultures and all different regions can have similar images or similar imagery, similar is this because of an ultimate truth of who they actually are? Why would they appear so similarly all over the earth?
Very good question. The problem I'm having now is that we're finding all of them together at the same times.
Ooh.
Aliens are with ghosts. Ghosts are now with guides.
Yeah.
Guides are now in seances. Now they're building altars. What's the problem here? That would be like me calling Verizon and Sprint answers, and then me telling people that they're completely separate intelligences. You know, it really doesn't take a lot to think, okay, maybe again that we're being manipulated. And that's where I'm at. And I don't want to ramble, but you know, we can go deep with that one.
Tiffany, let's take a few minutes in the chat. There's been comments, questions. I want to share and get feedback from everyone. Kind of going back a little bit. Do you visualize a ritual before? See, here's the problem. I'm putting this mask on, but I need my glasses.
Yeah. Do you
Speak.
visualize the sigil? So this is from earlier. We were talking about sigils and protection symbols, right? So it says, do you visualize a sigil before trying to call them down? And we're talking about requesting the presence of a specific demon or entity.
Either. Go for it.
I would say yes, because I have worked with Sigil and I have done things to ask for certain entities to come visit. And usually you either draw it or you visualize it kind of like coming into you, which is very dangerous because you're inviting it in. Nathaniel's like, no, that's what you do. Like, don't do that. This was before. Which is probably where a lot of my trouble came from. But like, visualizing this sigil, the sigil is in some instances an entity or an energy stream, right? So you do visualize it or you draw it. Some people draw it on themselves, which is
That's the same thing as having the Catholic, blessing. So honestly, I mean, it's part of our sort of makeup. We appreciate the rituals and the motions, going through the motions.
Absolutely. And I got told by like an entity one time, like, this isn't for me, this is for you. And I thought this entity at the time was helping me. So like, I was like, oh, like I'm just hanging out with you. But I had to go through all this just to be with you, right? So the ritual is not for them, it's for us to open up to them, which can be a little dicey, right? Now that we see.
That in the context of finding sigils on experiencers, now we're taking this conversation into the ether, into a darkness that we cannot even articulate. What would carve sigils in the flesh, hoping that the vessel itself will be vulnerable to something else? We're not dealing with demons, ladies and gentlemen. That is a practitioner of some sort. And the research, again, that would place practitioners in UFOs. What are we dealing with?
What are we inviting? You know what I mean? Like, we're told we're inviting all these things, and you might have a beautiful experience. And it's not always going to be like that. And we have like the whole light and dark, yin and yang, whatever. But after doing research, I'm a lot more careful with what I'm calling down. I don't try to make contact anymore. And things have chilled out a little bit. But the thing is, people are not asking for it. It's happening too, right? So
there we go.
That's not okay. I'm asking for it. I'm being an idiot. You know what I mean? I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not saying we're idiots for doing rituals. I'm just saying, like, sometimes you open a can of worms because you're curious and you can't put them back in. But the people, when it happens at a young age, like with me, like I obviously wasn't sitting there doing sigils on myself or on anything. So why some people don't need the invitation? They just come to you. And why do some people have to actively invite? Like there's people that go out there, for the CE5, like, please calm down. You know what I mean? Like, so,
right.
I mean, that's not the protocol, but you know what I mean?
Digressing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So speaking of this is sort of bringing it all back, but do y'all know anything about King Solomon and how he summoned demons? Mm-hmm. So this is a story that's, thousands of years old. Can you explain how King Solomon was a master manipulator amongst men?
I like him already. No, go ahead. So.
Yeah, right. He had a ring that had a symbol on it to which gave him authority over alleged demons.
Yes.
Now, once I got to that,
is that it? So do we all need a tool? Is it a tool like a wand?
Some people use it that way.
Right. The problem that I have with Solomonic magic and the Lesser Keys of Solomon is who names the namers?
Oh, good one. The creator.
Right. Or something else. Because again, if we're going to, that's what's his name. Okay, but what's your name? What's the source of this? Because somebody had to name you for you to name them. And so when we're getting to Kabbalistic sorcery, now we're not dealing with somebody that we would even know exists. I mean, right? The whole purpose would be to blend into reality. They're scanning your groceries, right? They're pumping your gas, they're cooking your food, and then they're going home. And so it's kind of funny to me because, okay, what are they? But that's when I started to kind of back up out of that, and even the Goetia, because I started realizing that there's a problem with the source here. Who's naming them? Because even with the other archetypes, again, I'm Deer and Edna, but Deer and Edna had a name. And so when you get back to it, again, in my research, it's always alluding, it's always pointing back to this concept of manipulation. There's something beyond the scenes, behind the scenes.
The puppet master.
There we go. Something that uses consciousness to incarnate. It's even the observer effect, where I have to be seen to be visible. I have to be heard, right? And there's this symbiotic relationship. We've seen it with the ghost of Philip, right? Did he exist? No, he didn't exist until I believed he existed. And then when I believed he existed, it incarnated. And this is the same problem with, imagining sigils. Who is imagining it? You or them? Is there this manifestation method that we see? But this gets back even to what's called topomancy, where it's the thought form. Or is it the entity forming the thought that's becoming a thought form? It's something that is trying to incarnate into this reality. And I think this is what even the summoning of the conjurers, it's all what it's all about. And I think that once we go through the Rolodex of protocols, okay, we have altars, check. Sigils, check. And again, I'm not saying aliens are demons. And I hate when people kind of put me in that corner, because what they're trying to do, right, is simplify the hypothesis, and especially with me, so they can brush me off, paint me as a crazy, and don't go talk to Nathaniel Gillis, right?
But
funny.
you're our
I'll talk
crazy.
to you anyway.
You're our crazy. That's all that matters.
Thank you. I'll take it.
So, but do you, if you know their name, if you know this entity's name, does that really actually give you any kind of spiritual power or earthly power over them? Is that really that important, that we know? Yes, we know their name, but does it really matter where the name came from? Does it help? Is that
okay? The purpose of knowing its name is actually built upon having the authority over it.
Right.
Once you know its name. But if it's not its real name, what authority do you really have?
True.
Yeah. So this gets back into Catholic demonology. It's like, okay, why are they all Catholic? They're not. I mean, even within worldwide demonology, you go to Levant and you had entities that were believing in the Hadith, and the Jewish exorcists are throwing a Torah at them, and they're like, I don't believe in any of this. Go get it. Go get somebody else. And so it was weird. So it was, again, it's fascinating stuff. But my point is this. There is pattern confirming evidence. This is okay, yes. If the authority is attached to the name, the authority is only as valid as the truth in the name. If I give you the wrong name, even though it's broken, it's a broken concept. So that's what I started looking at, who names the namers. Because Priscilla hit the nail on the head earlier, by the time we think we've got them cornered, there's something out there that will peekaboo over, transcend the microcosm. And now you're manifesting, and it's manifesting to you. You're seen and being seen, and we don't have vocabulary for whatever that is.
Tiffany, when Natalie is right, she's right.
I agree, but that's coming from a Catholic faith. We enjoy our rituals. It's comforting, it's familiar, it's drilled into you, but there's also that darkness and that light that go along with it. Like there's always the threat of damnation and the promise of something beautiful. And you like she said earlier, you've got that darkness, and it's sexy, and it's sultry, and there's something about it that's almost romantic, that you're not allowed to have it, and that's it's stimulating.
And not all rituals are for that, right? Like we have burial rituals, right, to say goodbye
Yep.
to people. We have about graduation, little things like that, cheer, doing champagne toasts. So we're Homo sapiens. We've been doing rituals, like our ancestors done rituals. I'm not saying old rituals are gonna like open you up to some weirdness or something that you don't want. I'm just saying, like, you open up, just keep in mind, like, some of these, maybe there is different races or beings from different places, and we all have these different rules. Just like you were saying earlier, is it male or female, or is it both? Why does it have to be one or the other? Like, these are not our people. These are not they're not humans. They're not Homo sapien. So, like, how do we know? When you take yourself into a ritual setting, you can be the baddest witch out there, but that's your rules, witch. It's not their rules.
Yep.
So
You're right.
Your rules.
And I've learned this the hard way, messing with things I shouldn't have been messing with, like growing up, just curious about the occult, doing silly things.
Can you tell us? Have
Yeah,
you
I was
ever
gonna say,
used,
wait a minute.
Have you ever used a Ouija board?
You know what? I've only used a Ouija board a few times. I've dabbled in blood magic. Surprise, surprise. This was when I was younger, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of getting curious. And like I said, I was reading about all these religions, and
the blood is powerful.
Yeah. And I was raised Catholic. Like you're drinking it, right?
So you're drinking the blood. You're eating that body every Sunday.
So I did some silly like ritual that I was told to do. That is just like an instinct, right? I was like, oh, it's just instinctual. I'm natural, right? Why was I having the sleep paralysis with dark entities at the end of my bed after doing this?
Okay, go on.
I'm over here like doing the thing, what I'm like instinctually doing. And then I told the priest about it, and he was very mean. He did not help me at all. But eventually it kind of fizzled out. But
I mean, mean as in like he wasn't.
Oh no, he was like, you wanted this. Like, he was super weird, guys. Like, he was like, you were asking for this. I see you moping around school with your medal, like, on your folder. Like, I had like a rock star on my folder, and he was very he like yelled at me like, you wanted this. And like,
I think I've heard that before.
The devil's music.
Yeah,
I've heard that. Yeah.
But some people get curious, and I thought like something was telling me to do it, and maybe something was, to get in, because
how old were you?
I was in junior high, so
okay.
When I was messing with all that, and I just like was like, oh, I just inherently know how to do this, or something's guiding me, and it probably was guiding me, but to what? Like, I woke up with like straight up sleep paralysis, like a figure at the end of the bed. It was very dark. Teaching me, like, teaching me things that you should not know. You know what I mean? So just they cross lines, they cross boundaries, and you just have to be careful, because even if you think you know what you're doing, they could play on that, on what you think you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh, well, you think this is the rule? This is the rule for a little bit until I want more.
Interesting.
Whatever it takes to get to the door, right?
Yeah, they'll give you a key to a door you're not supposed to know exists.
Yeah, not to be like, oh, it's all dark and spooky, because there are.
Where does this go?
And we're all curious. I mean, most of us are. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably a curious person, or if you're on here, you're probably a curious person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can let's switch to where are we at? 9:05. Okay. I gotta bring up Priscilla, your look, or who you are. I was gonna say, let's go with who you are, or what you are.
Oh my gosh.
What was the what got you there? What took you to
most influential in shaping you into the modern?
Besides
vampire?
Vlad,
I don't like to talk about my dad, guys. I'm just kidding.
We want
Vlad.
your dad on here if you can get him on here. Just saying.
I do have other vampire friends, but so I think like Nathaniel, when you met me, I was probably more in researcher mode. I was trying to be a little respectable researcher, natural look, like just be like as respectable as possible. I started to kind of like break into it. People were asking me to do like co-hosting and stuff like that. And I just kind of like couldn't go because I take care of my family. Ended up in a very isolated spot for about 6 months. And with the kids and myself in a city where I knew nobody. I knew like one person. I knew Deb from Calling All Beings. You know Deb probably. You've probably been on her show. I just was kind of like forced to face my own self. And some of that self was not, I had too much time on my hands. So I was studying like demons because I thought, okay, like we got to go back to like square one. Like this scary stuff is happening. Because I was doing the research for, I wanted to do a dream book, right? The Dream Experiencer book. So I was like, people think they're demons. And that was one of the chapters was going to be like demonic experiences. Mm-hmm. Well, that led to Samaria, as all things do, and these energetics of things. And then started kind of reading about like how these different entities would feed on energy. And then it led to the whole like psychic vampire thing. And then all this UIP.
What is a psychic vampire?
People use it in a very derogatory way. They say, oh, well, you were a psychic vampire. You sucked my energy. What do Reiki people, Reiki people pull it and give it to something else. But what do like energy healers do? They take the bad energy and they transmute it into something fluffy, right? So there are some psychic vampires that do that. They will remove trauma, blockages, energy work, basically. So that was really interesting to me. And then I just was watching simultaneously. I'm having this existential crisis with like these, like, what is demonic? Like, what is all this? What is this darkness about? Because I just keep getting pulled into it, to study it. And then I started getting like, some more paranormal activity around the house. There was already a ghost there, was a female, but I was by myself, my kids, I'm getting like knocks. Oh my gosh, shit. Like all the things that you don't want to get when you're alone, and just kind of like studying the phenomena anyway. And then a name came to me and I looked it up in the little demon name thing. And I was like, nope. So I was just in a dark spot, guys, to be honest. And then simultaneously, there's all this UIP stuff happening with the government, right? So there were like two sides of me. It's like, go research the UIP because we're activists and we're making way with the government. They're gonna respect this. They're gonna study this. Like they're taking it seriously. And then I just kept getting stalled. And I just couldn't do that anymore because things kept stalling. So here I am back to religious studies, studies of different entities again. And I had a little bit of like a depression and I just started writing. And I just started writing about vampires and I was like, always been a little goth, but I was trying to kind of like put it out there that I wasn't because people don't like it. It's too much for them. It's not favorable. Like, obviously I can't go pick up the kids looking like this because I'm in suburbia. So I was trying to blend in. I was trying to be a respectable researcher. And then finally I was like, you know what? Like, I don't have time to be fake right now. Like if I'm studying all this like dark stuff, like people need to see me as this dark stuff. So that's kind of like where it led to. And then I just stopped researching UIP together. To be honest, it was depressing. It was pissing me off. Nothing was happening. And everybody said things were happening. And they were ignoring the whole side of it. The whole reason I got into it in the first place was because I was an experiencer. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of was like, fall into your darkness and start writing. And I just, that's how I ended up here. I just stopped caring and I just felt like I need to just be who I am. And who you are doesn't have to be what society says. It has to be what you're comfortable with. And I'm just somebody that is comfortable with things that are not normal, I guess.
You said that you had done some blood magic as a child. Have you revisited that as an adult?
Well, in a way.
Tell me in what way.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I got involved in the whole like dark period. I was like involved in some Luciferian magic, which
this is not going to be part of a true crime.
No. I'm very nice to know. Okay. So I kind of like was reading about that, and the reason people use the blood in this ritual magic is to like give like a connect with a certain energy, and so I did a little experimenting with that to kind of give myself some like creative energy to like manifest. And I only did it for a little bit because I was like, it just didn't feel like something I needed to do for very long. But it wasn't as serious.
So
Like in high
it didn't feel like there was anything added to this. You didn't feel like there was any extra energy that you gained from using blood.
I felt like it was my own, just so everybody knows, and it was not like excessive amounts. It's like a small offering that you do, and I felt like it did give me a little bit of like self-sacrifice,
Right.
you know. So it was an offering, if I'm being 100% honest, and I felt like it kind of opened me up to realizing like the parts of myself I've been fighting that were so dark to everybody were not really not that dark compared to some of the world, some of these entities visiting us. So I thought that it gave me like that. It gave me that ritual, like we were talking about. Again, I'm alone. I'm doing these rituals, and there was like some unsavory experiences before I started doing them, and then as I started working with the energies, it kind of just left me alone. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. You know what I mean? Did I join the wrong side?
You got what you wanted though in the end, right? You did get that sense of peace and like you weren't being hounded.
Yeah. I haven't had an experience.
You assumed control at that point.
Right.
Fair?
I would say yes, but who knows? But then I've had other people kind of say like they're just leaving you alone now because you've like joined them. So I don't think I've joined anybody. I'm still the same person. I'm still a good person. I would never hurt anybody. I would never, you know what I mean? So
You're not queen of the dam?
I wish I was, you know? You got to get in the hot tub with Jason.
That's a movie,
That was a sexy.
right? It was
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
I want to go.
It was.
Fire.
It actually. Did you see that movie? Were you the main actress in it? I can't remember who it was.
Aaliyah was like the
No, it
main.
was lit, right? It was
Oh yeah.
She was gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely.
As
Yeah.
Nathaniel says, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Tiffany, I got to ask you a question. If you could be a vampire and have that immortality, would you?
As long as I could be in a place where I had all of my earthly desires. Like if I were a vampire forever or immortal forever and I was stuck in a cage in somebody's basement for 2,000 years, I don't think I'd want to do that. That doesn't sound
You'd be
pleasant.
stuck with me on
But
a
if I
weekly
could-
basis on Tuesday nights.
That's fine. But
Okay.
I mean, if I had my druthers, I would rather be over in Fiji on a beach most of that time rather than wasting away in some cell. But I mean, the question would really be, where would you spend the rest of eternity?
That's a good question. Where?
Yeah. In Fiji, not drinking blood, but drinking Bloody Marys.
Ooh, there you go.
Let's see. I got you.
Not that. You got an
Yeah.
answer for everything. What? But when it comes to that, I'm obviously taking family.
Turn 'em.
Well, that's selfish reasons. I'd want to. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd probably give them a choice, but yeah, I would think you'd want your.
My daughter said it the other day. She said, I wouldn't want to live forever because then you'd have to see your family die. Not that was very big brained of her for the moment.
That's profound,
yeah. It was a little shocking because I don't even remember the conversation before. I just remembered that phrase and I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, I can go with that. So Kevin, I guess I'm going to have to turn her father down.
Turn Vlad down. I don't know if do you want to piss Vlad off?
No, there's other people out there. There's tons of people. But so the darkness of let's go back to this being such a sexy subject, and this is why you have this dark romance and erotica with vampires so often and so frequently. Why do you think? I mean, sex sells, right? but it's really, there's a lot of dark erotica that is really good. There's some of it that are like 12 pages long, and I'm like, really get straight to the point.
And you don't make it to you. Never mind. Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer.
I'd get to page 10. I don't think I'd make it to
12. Yeah.
You would for a vampire already. Come on.
Yeah.
True.
For a
So
monster.
tell us about the darker side of literature right now that's in your arena.
Like what sort of genres are out there writing, like dark or like my own?
Your own.
Oh, okay. So a lot of ARC readers didn't like the fact that I wrote there was a lot of like mental and physical abuse in the book. Only because I felt like this is like a story. The series is a female kind of like losing her identity to these vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody had to be the villain, and in literature we read villains that you either have to be obviously the villain or the good guy. And I wanted it to be kind of like the blurred part of it, and people didn't like some of the things that were happening in the book. And I don't blame them, but again, I put all the things at the beginning of the book saying like, this is what's in here. So don't be surprised that this stuff is happening. But I think the darker side of it would be like basically it's a female going into an abusive relationship and losing herself and losing her identity, which happens in real life.
Mm.
And I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it, because it's hitting the nail on the head too many times, even for myself. We've all had abusive relationships. So I think a lot of that writing came out, and a lot of that experience came into the writing, and it makes people uncomfortable to read it because of that.
Do 2024 vampires, are they okay with the sun, the light?
Yes, a lot of vampires, but there are people that identify as like energy vampires, like being serious, and they the sun is uncomfortable to them, makes them agitated.
I've been wanting to go to New Orleans and for the vampire vibe.
Oh yeah, I still haven't been. It's definitely on my bucket list.
I've got to.
So I did go, and I went in 1997 at Mardi Gras, and I did. Let's see, I saw Anne Rice's house, and that was incredible. I had a moment there, and then I stayed in a gay bed and breakfast, and they were chasing my boyfriend around the whole time. It was awesome. We had a great time.
Whoa! You stayed where?
At a gay bed and breakfast.
A gay bed.
Yes, and yes, we had some beautiful queens running it, and it was awesome.
I feel like I can go play.
It was so fabulous. Yeah. It was fabulous. And then I ended up, what was really crazy is we were walking off of Bourbon Street and trying to go back to our place, and I got knocked down as I came around a corner and fell completely back on my ass. And this guy helped me up, and it was fucking Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
Oh my god!
Oh.
I would have been
that along with seeing Anne Rice's house and going into some of the voodoo hotspots and some dark places. The cemeteries were gorgeous. Everything about it was just like my senses were so heightened. I was buzzing the entire time.
Yeah.
And the bed and breakfast was haunted, and I had sheets pulled off of me, and I had bathroom doors that closed. It was pretty cool.
You're turning me on, Tiffany.
I know. It was a great trip. So there was some definite highlights to that, and you do get to see sort of a darker culture that is it's shady and strange and dark and twisted. It's interesting.
Have you been there, Nathaniel?
Yep, I went there in 2018. I went to lecture in Mississippi, and then right before we went back to the airport, I went to is it Bourbon Street?
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 like 1 in the morning, and so that was an interesting sight.
That's
Um,
when it's all getting started. Then
oh man, it was crazy. So I enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, I'm a night owl anyway, so I'm like, all
but
right,
what was your
whatever.
vibe
So
there? What was your feeling? What were you feeling? Anything? Nor
I mean,
different or
if necromancy had a house, and I'm not putting that in a bad sense, but yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. I had the best blackened chick. Was it blackened tilapia and rice?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. So I was
Get
there
some
for the
red
food, to
beans in
be
it too.
honest.
The food
Heck
was
yeah.
incredible.
Like, look at all the architecture. Yeah, look at that
I
nice
love that
plate.
too.
Steaks. Yeah, every time
Yeah.
you post your steaks when you go out on your Facebook, I'm like,
Food.
oh, look at that.
Somebody said greetings from Manchester.
yeah.
Man,
I
I
love
What
live in
up, big
Manchester.
one? What up, big one?
I was in Bolton in February for the Awakening. So cool. Greetings from Ohio. But
Appreciate you.
yeah, it was good food, really good food. And then I had to go back to the airport for hours. But
Mm.
I want to go back. I really do. I would love to just, I don't know, go to a Paracon down there or something.
Yes, absolutely. That's where we need to meet up.
Tiffany, how
I'm doing
if there is a way for us to do a show in New Orleans? Wow.
Well, there's plenty of ways. It's just
Okay. There is ways. There are ways. I
There's
say
ways.
let's just figure it out.
yeah, figure it out. I'm sure I could find a really good gay bed and breakfast again.
I'll
I have
take
a knack.
I'll take one for the team.
I'm sure.
I'll be on my back. But I'm
My dark, twisted co-host.
Taking
Here
one
I
for
am.
the team.
I was trying to behave
There we
over
go.
here. You are just.
No, you just getting a feel for what our nonsense is.
Yes.
What's let's vampires. What's Priscilla? What's your go-to vampire movie?
Oh, comfort movie?
Which one tells your
Favorite.
story or tells the story the best? Or something. Go ahead.
It's a tie between like the '90s Dracula with Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder, and Interview with the
Oh my
Vampire.
God.
Those are my comfort movies.
Phenomenal.
To fall asleep.
Yes.
It's kind of funny because I watch Interview with the
Wait,
Vampire.
wait. That's her comfort movie to fall asleep.
Bite
I like
me
that.
and put me to sleep.
I love that.
Put me to sleep.
You know,
I
my
like
favorite
it.
My favorite
is.
Christmas movie is The Shining, if that says anything. You know, it's
Mhm.
not really probably
Die Hard.
appropriate.
Not
Die Hard. No, Die Hard's good too.
What about Nightmare Before Christmas?
There you go.
Very good. Yes.
Creepy. He's
Do you
5.
like,
and
is
he
it
loves
Tim Burton?
Tim Burton, yeah.
Tim Burton.
Yes, we just watched one of his newer shows the other night, and very cool. I can't even think of what it was.
Coolest vampire flick
Newest Tim
ever
Burton.
is what, Priscilla? Coolest. vampire.
Coolest?
Coolest.
Come
You
on.
say it. You only got what?
Lost Boys. Lost
Exactly. Period. End of story.
I love
Lost
it.
Boys.
Two girls told me, two of my readers, like, it gives me a Lost Boys vibe after they read my book. And that was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care if anybody else reads it now.
I
You
love that.
Lost Boys. Are you kidding me?
What about Blade?
It was going to be Blade. Blade would be set for cool, definitely. Lost Boys. and
Different
Blade
idea
is so
behind
cool.
it.
It's urban, and that I feel like that's a lot of my inspiration with writing. Is that urban?
That's what it reminds me of.
But I just
I
like,
feel
I'm
like
like,
you two are very similar.
the 80s vampires, like
Mhm.
the dark-haired one. Don't. He's just getting hot over here. But Blade was definitely cool.
What's I was watching. To me, horror, Halloween. To me, I can't get enough of a vampire.
Love it. Yeah.
30 Days of Night. I just watched that the other.
Oh,
I've watched
scary.
it like multiple times.
That one's
who is
scary.
that?
So good.
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hart.
Hartnett.
Hartnett. Yeah,
I think I need
That's
like a
good.
vampire movie marathon now. You guys are
I
saying all
forgot
these-
about that movie.
and that's where literally that is legit. Is that legit in Alaska? Where
I lived in
30
Alaska.
days-
Yeah.
it's total darkness for
Yeah.
30. Yeah.
I lived
I
there
mean-
for 3 years, and it is pretty dark.
Okay.
It gets dusky, and that's the daytime. So that would be a perfect place for traditional vampires. Those ones were very scary though. I don't want to
Oh yeah.
bite me. Like I don't want to get bit by one of those.
Have
Not
you?
a romantic one.
Yeah.
No,
Have you seen the new Salem's Lot?
I haven't. I haven't been like letting myself watch TV because I've been doing so much writing and editing. I'm like, you have to focus. Like,
The original, I think, is great.
I just want to watch all these vampire movies, and my husband gets drug into it. Like, there's like a time of the year where I'll watch X-Files for like.
Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
the best.
Greatest
So
show
best.
ever. Greatest
And
show
the
ever.
music's
Oh my God, the
incredible.
dark setting, I just love it. That's like another. I could fall asleep to it in the best way.
Mhm.
Like, so I go through X-Files stages, and then it's like whatever my craziness is at the time, and then I'm like, let's just watch vampire movies all day. And my husband's like, here we go again. You guys saw him, just a normal guy minding his own business. I'm like,
Where-
watch vampires.
Can your husband? I need confirmation. Can your husband come in and show us his neck? Does he
Yeah.
have like bite marks on his neck?
We have some suspicions. you
Yeah, I was
see.
gonna say. Yeah.
He's not allowed to show where I bite him.
Okay.
And it's not on the neck.
It's not on the
Yeah,
touche.
beloved by.
Love at first bite. Or isn't that was that a movie?
That was
No,
another one.
once bitten. Once bitten is what I'm
Once
thinking.
bitten, yeah.
The, Jim Carrey. Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones.
A lot of
Love
good
that one.
ones. All right. What about you, Nathaniel? Vampires? What's your
Psychic vampire, Dark City.
dark?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Dark City.
Okay, so
No, talk to
it
us.
was made 1 year prior to The Matrix, but The Matrix stole basically everything from Dark City.
Mm.
The
Oh,
guy, the writer's name's Alex Proya. I mean, put it to you this way: there's a line in the movie that says, "We use your dead as vessels."
No.
mm.
So
I like it.
it's unbelievable. I mean, this
So
is
It's called Dark City.
yeah. Basically, there's a parasitic species that has created reality, and it molds reality according to the person experiencing it. So it's a little bit deeper. I think it's deeper than the Matrix. It's at least more
Yeah.
profound. The implications are the same, but they could actually tune reality according to the perception of the experiencer, and it's fascinating. It's unbelievable. So yes, yeah. I mean, like on my Instagram, there's a picture of them, and they look just like vampires. They look just like vampires. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you guys just because I love y'all.
Show us.
All right, so check it out.
Show.
Peep
Don't
this,
tell.
guys. Peep this. All right. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Nice.
Oh,
That's Dark
okay.
City.
Very
Dark
like
City.
Yeah.
Look
Okay.
at, you
I
see the
got
it.
child in the middle? You see the little.
Yes.
Oh,
What's up?
creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
creepy
cool.
kid.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie. So
Mm,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll have
check
to
it
check
out.
that out.
Mm. Tiffany,
Oh,
is
so hard being a white witch.
Oh, white witch.
I tried to be a white witch. I tried so hard, but I just kept doing naughty things, and the white witches were like,
Naughty is fine. Is when it comes to vampires, I go back and forth. I love the sexiness of the vampire, but I also love that monster.
oh yeah, we love a
Nosferatu.
monster. Yeah, we
Yeah.
love a monster.
Yeah. What is the true vampire? Is it the monster or is it sexy?
Sexy dark
Yeah,
prince.
Yeah.
Some will say like there's a lot of books written, modern vampire books, about like people that are energetic vampires. That's like their soul lineage. So the vampiric self is very dark to people, but there is like that I think it's more of a Hollywood thing, to be honest, because it is kind of channeling into like the things that are more taboo. So I don't necessarily think that all taboo things are evil or bad. There are some things that are definitely evil that people do, right? But like as far as like the vampiric self goes, it's going to be probably more monstrous, I would say.
Mm.
But
There's all this. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like you kind of have to like convince you have to like lure people in with like the sin, right? Like the dirtiness, the spiciness of it, and the sexiness of it, and then you show them the darker side of yourself. But that's not just vampires; that's everybody. Everybody has like this side of them that they don't want people to see.
So that's
Like,
how you do it. You lure them in with your look,
lure them
Priscilla.
in, yeah.
And then all of a sudden this
But there's also like a
Surprise! I'm manic.
there's also this promise of a gift, though.
Yeah.
The potential to either have all the knowledge or have all the power or have all the life force, or have eternal life. There is a promise of something that is always in the back of our head that would probably be the thing that you have to the major conflict is within each person. Do I go for what I really want, or am I going to stay a good person and a law-abiding citizen? There's that appeal of, do I go for what I really, really want, or am I going to be a good person and not?
Yeah, I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about like, oh my gosh, like the stuff we did, like that kind of thing. And I was like, that's definitely illegal. Like, I would never do that now. Do you know what I mean? So we go through these things where I think it's like the seasons of growing up, right, as a human. And we just realize that one day we realize we are not the only thing in the world. And then when you feed yourself, it has outward consequences. So, but I think when we're young, we don't care about that. I mean, some people still don't, and they're,
Okay.
check this out, Tiffin. This is Dracula, Bram Stoker, the Gary Oldman film. This, if there's something or someone to visit me, it's going to be Monica Bellucci.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Keanu.
Oh yes, from the bed. Okay, yeah. She's coming up from the bed.
That was one of oh my god.
Mom, she is one of the most beautiful women. You would let her.
Gavin's over here stressing, bro. He is so stressed, and he's like,
you wouldn't have. See, this guy fought her off. What is wrong with him?
I know. It's like, Keanu, what are you doing, bro?
Even I would be like, "Let's go on, girl."
That's
Monica Bellucci has to be. She is like the opiate of raw, genuine beauty.
Oh, absolutely. Even still
Just
in the Beetlejuice
untouchable.
movie. Have you guys seen her in the new Beetlejuice movie?
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Still gorgeous.
Yes.
And she's like so classy too. It's a very strange beauty. It's like, what are you exactly? But yeah.
That's your dream dance.
She hasn't aged. She really hasn't aged since that movie either. We just watched the Beetlejuice. Maybe. I mean, she has not aged at all in 30 years. It's crazy.
Has it been? God, it has been. Was it 1992 when it came out? Early 90s, right? So that's 30 years, 32, 30. Yeah. Wow. Oh man, we are old. I am old.
I'm
Don't
old too.
remind me, man. I'm 36, so
I'm older than you.
I'm the pawpaw here. So
You're the same age as my husband. I married. He's 4 years younger than me.
yeah, but Priscilla, you're gonna live forever. So shut up. All right, let's Tiffany. Let's where we're at. Let's start wind this down. Well, you know what? Before I do a rapid fire thing, a question. So before we get to that, I do want to touch on the UAP thing, because Priscilla you were talking about how you kind of just became disenchanted, just turned off by it all. Going back recent times, December 2017. The New York Times, the video, everything came out about this program, whatever, the money that was being used to research everything that became Leslie King Tiffany, you got a little. Your boy's got a little time with her, which we got to give some love to Brent with that. Well, real quick, I have to give a shout out to Brent. There's going to be he spent time with Leslie King. Can you share that with them real quick, just at a high level, or whatever? But my point is that it is mainstream media now. It's accepted now, how they kind of whatever direction. But then you got the Leslies, who New York Times, who is trying to put information or get information out there. So Tiffany, share that real quick with what.
Well, my husband is a pilot. He's been a pilot for quite a long time, and he has seen multiple UFOs while he's been in flight. He's captured multiple UFOs, and when I say multiple, I'm talking like maybe more than a dozen, and they're very clear, very obvious movement that is not normal of any kind of aircraft that he knows to fly. And so he was interviewed by quite a few people about his experiences, because he was showing these videos with our show and with some other friends in our group. And so Leslie asked if he would be willing to share and with her show. And so he flew up to New York and did all this fun stuff without me. Heard. But the show actually came out this past month, so I haven't seen it yet. But
that episode has not come out, or it's not been shown yet.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting, because my life has not been a fun, easy trip. There's always been crazy ET and UFO sightings and visits and stuff like that has really pounded on my soul. It's really eaten away at me. But the search for truth is the thing that keeps me going. I don't know if they're demons. I don't know if they're angels. I don't know if we're all using the wrong language to describe the same damn thing, and we're all just talking in circles about the same subject, and we're all just coming from different points of view. We're all circling that topic and coming from different angles at it. But seeing more and more people be able to express what they're, as expert witnesses, express what they're seeing and what they're viewing, and knowing that this wasn't as obvious 25 years ago, when they were still doing the same flights. They're still flying all over the earth, and now they're just seeing so many more of them, and it's not normal. These pilots, they know what they see every day. They talk to air traffic control, they look at radar, they have all of this technology, and they still don't have the answers. But it's almost like a matter of gaslighting amongst all of these different communities, right? We're told constantly and every damn day that it's this, and this, and don't have any other possibilities. There's no other possibilities. It's a mind game, and it all plays in together. Unfortunately, I think Nathaniel is right in saying that there's a lot more going on, and the words that we use are not conclusive. They're not exclusive. How's that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that there are some people trying to get out the real message, but I guess we'll see what they show and what they put in, and how they chop it up and put it back together. It'll be interesting to see, because I know what those videos have, and I see them all the time, and
plus
it'll be interesting to see what they portray.
30 plus years, Brent, as a pilot.
I'm almost 54, and he's been flying since he was 16.
I would never come close to fucking challenging him on what he thinks he saw.
No.
Or sees up there. Right. I mean, and staying with that real quick. So, Priscilla, the one time where Congress can have a fucking bipartisan gathering was
Yeah.
the UFO topic, UAP topic.
Yeah.
What was you became, I don't know, you said you were turned off, but to me, that was a moment.
That was that. I was still in it at that moment. You know what I mean? Like I was still in it at that moment.
Mhm.
I had, you know, I really wanted to be an activist for this. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted it to happen because I thought like, okay, first it's admitting this is real and that we put money into it and that we know about it as a government. So that's going to make it.
You've known for decades and
Yeah,
been
exactly.
researching on the DL.
Right. And then, so once that's in the air and everybody believes it's real and knows it's real, then the help for experiencers will come.
It didn't come.
I didn't have time to wait for that. Like my sanity, I was already in a spot. You know what I mean? And I had to step away from it. And plus, to do what I wanted to do, I needed to have more freedom to travel and to be out there, actually talking to people. And my husband was deployed, so I was basically a single mom for a little bit. So like, I just didn't have it. And between like nothing happening and that. Between like the whole, like, back and forth with the this is real, this is not real, and then the whole thing with David Grush happened, and that was kind of like a stake in the heart because I just thought the way he was treated was horrible. I didn't think that people tried the lines that were crossed with him should not have been crossed with people putting out his business the way they did. And after that, I started, you know, losing interest because I was getting frustrated with saying like he is a man that was kind of like they try to make him sound crazy and all this stuff, and he was saying all this stuff that I feel there was a lot of truth to, and it wasn't getting it. If he couldn't get people's attention, then what chance do us little experiencers have saying it happened to me in my little tiny town, in my little tiny room? You know what I mean? So that was the main, like, for me. But there was a lot of cool things that happened, like the bipartisan effort, like David Grush coming forth, like it's seeing the language in legislation, money being put towards it, the hearings. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't all for nothing. I couldn't. I'm kind of just like a side observer at this point. Like, I don't need to be in the mix anymore.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Play along as we are rounding third and heading for home here. Rapid fire. Nathan, you probably did this with us before, so do it again. But
Do it again.
Yeah, Priscilla, I'll start with you.
Do it again.
Yeah, first concert you attended.
Oh, Ozfest.
Oh, wow.
Hypo Negative, Rob Zombie, Ozzy, and there was a bunch of bands there, like a bunch of bands.
You are a little metalhead, aren't you?
I'm a metalhead, yes. Apparently, I listen to a lot of trap metal. That's what Spotify says about me. But
Okay. What about you, Nathaniel? What was your first concert?
It was a Christmas concert.
oh, we're counting that.
Dude,
Like
I wasn't
Charlie
allowed to
Brown? What?
no, man. You guys got to understand. I grew up in an environment where I couldn't wear shorts, couldn't watch TV. So Christmas rock was pretty much it. So I don't actually know the very first, what they call secular concert I went to was Beantown, Boston. I went to the Boston Jazz Festival and heard Christian Scott.
Oh,
Okay. Well, there you go.
That was amazing.
I'm sure.
Tiffany,
Yeah.
play
Okay,
along. What was your question? What was your first concert, Tiffany? I can't remember. Oh,
First concert. Besides the church concerts.
See, not alone over here.
Well, if we're gonna say that, then yeah, my first church concert.
were you
Daniel.
tell me a concert where you were doing this?
Joy to the world.
I don't know. New Kids on the Block.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Can you do it?
Oh,
Isn't
hey,
that
it's,
the-
okay, here I've got a song or
All right,
song.
go ahead.
I've got one for you, Priscilla.
Go.
Favorite blood type.
Oh,
Oh,
I joke. Oh, positive. Oh, positive.
oh, positive. Okay.
Not Tiffany's RH negative.
Oh,
it
Throw
gives
me
me
under the bus all the
heartburn.
time. They give me heartburn.
Now, be honest. If if RH negative was the blood, Priscilla, would you spit it out?
We don't waste blood. All right, we just
Just for
Yeah, like
just check it. Just check it.
Okay.
I'm a
Another
good girl.
question for
Swallow
Priscilla.
Go ahead.
Priscilla, favorite Rob Zombie song?
Living Dead Girl.
Oh, that's a good one.
No, I
Uh,
used to like a lot of his other songs, but I can't remember any of them right now.
How about Effing in a UFO? That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Whoa!
You know, I love it.
I've not heard that one.
Oh, I have to send it to you, Kevin.
Oh yes.
It's not like a popular one. You would have to listen
No,
to like the
But
album.
the video is phenomenal.
I literally heard Dracula this morning on my.
Dragula,
is
that's
it
a good one. Dragula, I think.
Dracula.
And then yeah, so I'll have to send this one to you, Kevin, because it's a keeper. I'll send it to you all.
Priscilla, invisibility or super strength?
Oh man, invisibility.
Nathaniel.
I'd have to agree.
We could sneak around together. It'd be fun. Like
Yeah, heck yeah. All you would see is like this prime dry aged Wagyu fillet just being lifted in the air and gnawed on. And like falls off onto the table. They're like, "That's Nathaniel. He's up in here.
butter dripping down.
Gnawed on.
All of our seafood's gone."
That's hilarious.
Gosh.
That's what you would do with it. I love it.
Yeah.
Priscilla, if you
Okay,
could
my God.
speak every language, would you speak every language or talk to animals?
Oh man. Probably.
As a vampire, you can do. What can you not do as a vampire? That might be the
I
question.
never thought about the animal thing, but I feel like my cat judges me all the time, so I would still pick the animals. I don't even know every language. But I feel like there's a lot of wildlife out here, so I'd probably get to use it more. And plus, I'm not really that interested in what most humans have to say, so don't need the extra languages.
What about you, Nathaniel?
Oh, easily every language. That way I can order every cuisine I can correctly.
Correct.
Never could say it before, but I'll take it now.
Priscilla, being a vampire, what would you, if you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Oh wow.
Be with your people. How far does vampirism go, by the way?
I feel like there's always been some sort of vampire, all the way, right?
Okay.
It wasn't always blood.
Well, your dad was 1400, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
My mom
Pops
was.
Bowl.
Wait a minute, your mom. Who's the mom? Then?
I don't know. I'm just kidding. What is the Queen of the Damned? Akasha.
So, period. What period would you go?
I don't know. Maybe I'm boring, but I just want to go I feel like the times of the past sounded really horrible. So I would probably just go back to the 80s and go to some really good headbanger bars. I know. I wanted to be like the Middle Ages, but then when you think about all these times,
You want to go back to another Ozfest, is what you're saying?
I do. I want to go to I don't want to be I feel like there was just so much horrible stuff happening throughout history. Like the 80s was horrible in its own way, I'm sure, but there was not if you think about the Middle Ages sounds cool, castles, all this stuff, but most people didn't get to experience that. And my biggest fear is I'd go back and I'd be a maid or something.
Yeah, right.
Or somebody that lived on the streets with my luck. So we'll just stick with the 80s, you know?
Where would you go, Nathaniel?
90s.
Not.
I'd go to the first Incubus concert and see this is kind of this is demonology pretty much.
Oh, there you go. Tiffany, where would
That's
you go?
awesome.
Our budget can send you somewhere. Where?
Ancient Greece.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'll go back.
That
I'll
would
go
be
back to the time of Knossos and the Minotaur.
You were in Greece
and
for a
King
while, though,
Minos.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That would
That's where I'd go
2000?
for sure.
2000,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You convinced me. Ancient civilizations, I'm stealing yours.
Yep. You can. We could go there together. I think our budget can allow it.
Perfect. It's a date.
Yeah.
We'll get it figured out. All right. Pet peeve, Priscilla. What's yours
I
or
don't
one
know.
of yours? Nothing. You don't have a pet.
There- I'm pretty easygoing, to be honest. You know what bothers me?
So nothing would make you go.
People listing things for too long. Like, I don't know what it is about somebody giving me like a list.
Mm.
It
I
just,
noticed that. Yeah.
it's
Somebody
like,
did that to me the other day. Yeah. It's
Like the list I'm talking
Reading.
now.
no, but like a long list. Like,
The last thing I want to do is probably piss off a vampire.
Don't
That
do
would
it, Kevin.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I want it to be soft, not rough. What about you, Nathaniel? Pet peeve.
I don't, honestly, guys, I'm kind of the same way. I don't really have any pet peeves.
Okay.
I think if I did, especially in the field, it'd be somebody scapegoating my work, right? Where they try to box me in that little model, and then I had somebody do that. Somebody asked him a question. Somebody asked research from it. Oh, well, he believes A, B, and C. It's like, okay, I don't believe that. That does trigger me because then I'm like, all right, do I even want to be in this field anymore?
Mm.
Like what's the point of all this? Like you 4 or 5 years into doing interviews and lectures, and people are still willing to just lie.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say
You know
this
what I
to
mean?
you, Nathaniel.
Lying is
Yeah.
human nature too, though. It's like
Yeah.
the dark and the light, the
I-
lies and the truth.
Priscilla, probably back in when she was doing podcasts too. I'll say this: every time you've been on, Nathaniel, we've got a great reaction. People engage, people comment.
Mhm.
So the notion that you're talking to nobody, you're.
Oh no!
so yeah, you and John Ramirez were like my two most viewed, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
I appreciate that. Yeah, I got to a certain point in the last month where I shared this with my close friends. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm pretty much where Priscilla was. Do I even want to continue this? And if I do I want to kind of focus my energy on something different?
Hmm.
So for selfish reasons, when we need ratings, I'm gonna reach out to Nathaniel.
Well, I've been
Kevin.
paying people under the table, so
or both of you. All right. Priscilla? What was your last? Not this. What was your last Halloween costume?
What was I last year?
Or-
I feel like last year I think I was a vampire again. I think I was a vampire, and the year before that I was a cat.
Okay, well, let's go with the cat.
I'm boring.
Cat is in Catwoman, or
No, I literally was just like,
I was gonna say Cat Williams.
Cat Williams.
it's luxurious. No, I just had like cat ears, and I didn't buy a costume, and I was like, I'm just gonna go as a cat.
There you go.
What about you, Nathaniel?
Oh, I just heard Cat, and I just heard Little Wheezy, like Cat Williams. I don't know why, it was just a response. I don't really do Halloween, honestly. What I was actually no, I think because I'm an Ohio State Buckeye. Like I don't play from anything, but I'm a big fan. So I live in the state, and so
Do you
I
live in
wore this-
Ohio?
yeah.
I didn't know that. You're that close to us? That's close to us.
Well, it
I
depends
don't know
on if
where you
he's
guys are.
The
Near-
border.
near-
We're in Louisville, Kentucky.
I would drive to Ohio and see my
Louisville.
friends a lot. Yeah, like my friend, I would go meet her. And
there you go.
Louisville.
Now
you guys
there's no
have a-
excuse not to
Absolutely,
see you,
dude.
meet up.
We're,
Yeah, we
we're
gotta
gonna have
figure
to
that
go to Del Frisco's, brother, and get a
Del
yeah,
Frisco.
yeah.
Del
But
Frisco.
no, so I dressed up as Brutus from it's the Ohio State mascot. So.
Yeah. I know.
my stepdad was a
Very
Buckeye.
original, right? Very original.
I mean, if you don't know what it is, I mean, if you're in Ohio, it might not be original, but I forgot my stepdad had that thing everywhere. Brutus.
Heck yeah. Go for it.
All right, Tiffany, did you didn't dress up this past Halloween or your Saturday
Yes, I
night?
did.
What'd you wear?
A sweater.
You dressed up as a human. I wanted something a little different.
I had my little Stein. I was a little beer garden girl.
Oh, okay.
He didn't
That's
look
called
close
being
enough.
drunk, but not.
I had my it was a gorgeous, huge Stein, and I had to carry it everywhere with me because it was actually ceramic, and I didn't want anybody knocking it off. And all the kids, like,
You were the hostess with the mostest.
yeah.
All right.
Obviously, my costume wasn't the mostest.
You looked like Tiffany to me. Something different. Cake or pie, Priscilla?
Depends on the kind.
Can you play along?
I'm sorry, I forget. Like I overthink everything. Pie.
Pie. Okay. Nathaniel.
But is a cheesecake a pie?
Is cheesecake
How
a
about
pie?
cheesecake a pie? There we go.
I would say it's cake.
That's the kind
It's
of
a pie.
philosophy I talk about
Is it?
right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Cheesecake is a pie. Okay. What about what you say?
So I am a pecan pie man. And then I had somebody years and years ago make a Cajun pecan pie, which was a whole new genre of heaven
Oh
for
my
me.
goodness.
So I'm gonna go Cajun pecan pie.
What was in the Cajun pie that made it different?
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, but it was so good.
Did it
I
have
think it was
chocolate
the way
chips?
they took. No, I think that they toasted the pecans differently. I really don't know, but it was so good. I wiped it out.
He was about it. He didn't care. Like
That was a single bite-sized portion for old Nate that night.
I bet that
Heck,
was sinful.
I turned into a vampire. I was like,
For
"Ah!"
old Nate that night.
Like all you saw was just like crust going everywhere, and like
That was
yeah,
a
it was a
waste.
blast.
Is
I don't know. It was so
A
good.
waste of crust.
blackout. He's like,
is there video?
Hope not.
Please share. Okay.
No, that'll be used as black now.
let me watch you eat it. Like share the video.
Yeah,
Look at that
right.
pecan pie. So that's the thing. Pecan pie. All right. Priscilla, ask permission or beg forgiveness.
Heaven, you're getting this long, long list.
I'm winding. I got two more.
Ask permission? Oh, give forgiveness. Like you never ask. You just do what you want.
Touche. What about you, Nate?
All in context, but I'm a lot better at forgiveness.
I already
Oh.
know the answer for your to you, Tiffany, because Brent told me.
Ooh. Womp, womp,
You beg
womp.
for forgiveness. All right,
I
last
just
one.
do it anyway.
I know. That's what I say. You do it, and you. All right, you take.
I'm sorry.
Priscilla, what's your happy place these days? Outside of a coffin.
Like literally or like in my mind.
Ooh.
All
You
the
can have
above,
both.
whatever
You
you
can have
want.
both.
My office upstairs. It's got like my books. It's got my chair. It's got my stuffed animal. I just go up there and hide from everybody, like a cat. So
Like that. Nathaniel, you're happy.
Yeah, wherever I'm watching Frasier at. That's fine.
The new. Have you watched the reboot or whatever?
Well, the second season's better because they brought one of the older writers back,
Okay.
stuff from the old original show.
All
So
right.
it's you know, it's
I'll give
obviously
it
not going to be
because
as good.
I
as the
tried
original.
watching the first and I couldn't connect with it. So
Oh, it's
good to
garbage.
know. Good. To
I'm
know.
always afraid to watch the reboots, like with Arrested Development when they came out with the other one. I was like, not the same.
Ugh, they came out with another one.
Yeah, Netflix made Arrested Development. I was like, it's not the same. Like, where's Michael?
Oh my god! You know, honestly, when I first watched that show, because somebody put me onto it, I'd never ever heard of it. And
So
this has
funny.
been maybe 6 years ago now, and I put it on, and I mean to tell you, I mean it was raw. It's like when the dad had cut his shoe up and used it as like a yarmulke. He was like,
Or like
he
the
was
mom,
like, I'm a
her
religious
mom,
man
like,
now.
the alcoholic
Yeah.
rich mom, and she looked at the pill
Oh.
bottle and felt like a sleepy eye. And she's like, "Oh, don't drink with medication." She like winks at the bottle 'cause she thinks it's a wink. Oh my gosh, that show is ridiculous.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Good times.
Good times. All right. We're shutting this down. We're at 2 hours. So good stuff tonight. Priscilla, share with everyone where can people connect with you and
I have my
find you? hanging upside down like a bat, sleeping. What's your lair these days?
So TikTok and Instagram, different names. But if you find my TikTok, my Instagram link is there too. I'm trying to like work with my book stuff right now. So that Priscilla Darkling is my author like TikTok. And then from there you can find my Instagram.
For also her link tree is in our description. So
Oh yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
It has everything.
Yep, everything. Nathaniel, you?
Instagram, YouTube. If I have something fresh to share, I'll just share it on Instagram. If I do it, like for people that want to look more into my research, you go to YouTube. I have a playlist of all of my interviews, and you could see the evolution of my hypothesis by just filtering it through date added. So that's how you guys can find me.
And the evolution of the beard.
I know, that's what was
That is
different.
pretty,
Halfway through, I was like, that's what's different. The beard.
I like it. Looks good.
I do
bro.
too.
We'll see, guys. But I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, good
And
stuff.
it's always a pleasure. Priscilla, always good to see you, my friend. And Kevin and Tiffany.
Thank you
Tiffany,
so much for coming on tonight.
yeah,
We
take us
appreciate
out,
the
Tiff.
time.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining us with two more wonderful guests, Nathaniel Gillis and Priscilla Stone, for our Halloween edition of the Universal Secrets podcast with Tiffany Mack and Kevin Hale. We'll see you next week. Oh, just kidding. Not next week, because next week is
There's something important going on next
yes,
Tuesday.
we've got some voting to do, but
Yeah.
we'll meet you the next Tuesday night.
In 2 weeks. Yes.
Yes.
Peace out. This has been Universal Secrets.